Welcome to another episode, everyone. Big Heron from Looters Park Pyru Bloods. He was involved with Suge Knight's Death Row Empire. His name brought fear in Compton and really just on the streets of Los Angeles, California. Let's get into the life and times of Big Heron from Looters Park Pyru and find out how he lived and eventually lost his life there in the streets. The same fate that most in the streets will suffer. And this is Hood War Story.
Welcome to Hood War Stories. In this episode, I'll be discussing the life of Heron. Aaron Verdell Palmer was born on October 8th, 1962 in Compton, California. Heron, also known as Goldie or Smokey Robinson's son because of him being light-skinned with green eyes, grew up on the east side of Compton and lived in what is now Mob Pyru territory. Standing at 5'9" and athletically built, Heron was always a ladies' man. He was known for stealing dudes' girls and beating up the guy after. In late 1978, he went to CYA for an armed robbery. By the time he was released, he came back even more swole. Heron was thugging in the streets way before Crip and Blood gangbanging came into full effect. He was a loud talker, but everything he said he could back up. He developed a reputation as crazy wild in the streets of Compton. When he wasn't in and out of jail, Heron was robbing and selling drugs to hustle up cash flow. He didn't mind getting his hands dirty. In the 80s, Heron was described as a beast in Compton, a guy that would knock you out and didn't hesitate to pull the trigger. By the late 80s, he's alleged to have committed multiple murders, but his rage wasn't structured until he got with Suge and Death Row. Suge's Death Row records allegedly started with $1.5 million in drug money, most of which came from cocaine boss Michael Harris and his wife Lydia. Death Row would earn hundreds of millions of dollars with this list of artists that included Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Tupac, and for a brief limit that surprised many, MC Hammer. Heron would go on to be a key component in the Death Row era. His job description was security detail, but that was just a cover-up. Those close knew that Heron was one of the goons that was part of the muscle of Death Row. He was murder for hire. Heron used to call himself Mr. 17 and brag about having 17 bodies under his belt. He preferred to catch his targets off guard and spray up their vehicles while they were inside. In one instance, Heron was involved in a car-to-car shooting with Crips on Alondra Boulevard. Bullets riddled the Crips' car, causing them to crash into a pole. Only one person in that car survived. But the violence was just one side to Heron. To his family and friends, he was very loyal and always looked out. Heron was a loved member of Death Row and his set. While he was officially from Looters Park Pyru, he was an extremely close affiliate of Mob Pyru, which is basically a branch off of Looters Park. Both sets claimed him. During his time at Death Row, he got exposed to various people in the industry. He dated Left Eye from TLC for a while. He also did a voiceover of Snoop Dogg's Murder Was the Case, and also a skit on the Lady of Rage's album. Heron was very fond and close to Tupac. One day, Pac was riding with Heron and they went to the store, and some Crips were bothering Tupac, asking him where he was from. Tupac stood his ground and banged Mob Pyru. Heron then emerges out of the store and causes the Crips to run and leave in their car. Tupac would mention Heron's name in a few songs, most notably in To Live and Die in LA, where he gave a brief roll call to the members he really rocked with. When Tupac ran up and punched Orlando Anderson at the MGM Grand Casino, Heron was right there to assist with the beatdown. But Tupac initiating the stomp down on Orlando was 100% the wrong move. Orlando Baby Lane Anderson was a known hitter for the Southside Compton Crips. At the time, he was being investigated for multiple murders, including Demond Long.
Yes, that was the wrong move. Rest in peace to Pac. And that was indeed the wrong move, bro. You know, the streets know. That was the wrong move. At the wrong time, just the wrong situation to Pac to even get involved in. I'm the biggest fan of Tupac that you'll probably ever meet. At any rate, Heron indeed was a strong individual there in Compton, and he was connected heavily, as we see, with Death Row and Suge Knight, and was known to put in that work for Suge Knight. If you're in the streets, then you know. But as with most things in the street and with this culture, it all came to a crashing halt. It all came crashing down, and it nearly never fails.
Who Orlando allegedly killed in 1995, and the murder of Elbert Webb Jr., who Orlando allegedly killed at a party on Kemp Street in 1996. So it wasn't a surprise that Baby Lane struck back that same night. Tupac was shot 4 times, and Heron was the only person from Mob to go to the hospital and stay with Tupac after he got hit. while everyone else partied the night away at Club 662. When Tupac died 6 days later, Heron took it especially hard, and he definitely wanted revenge. After Tupac's death, Heron and Napoleon became close. Heron would take Napoleon and show him around the city. At that time, Napoleon was fascinated by Compton and the surrounding areas. Heron had close ties to,
and of course, Napoleon is a member of the Outlaws group, a member of the Tupac's Outlaws rap group. That's who he's referring to.
Inglewood. One day, Risky, who was the album cover artist for Tupac and the Outlaws, called Heron saying that he was in trouble with some Crips. Heron and Napoleon then sped from the valley to the location and hopped out on the Crips with guns. When the Crips saw Heron, they immediately didn't want any problems. In Heron's final days, things with Death Row were a bit shaky. He allegedly wasn't getting paid by Suge, but Heron was still loyal nonetheless. Death Row associates began turning on each other. George E. Williams and Heron, who were both from Death Row and the same gang, eventually had their own falling out, which came to a head on June 1st, 1997. On that Sunday, a Death Row and Pyru picnic was being held at Gonzalez Park in Compton. Shortly before, George Williams had been telling people that Heron shot him and tried to kill him. Heron was playing football at the park when he got a beep on his pager, so he left. One witness saw Poochie, Roderick, George, and his girlfriend Woozy, who was dressed as a man that day, follow Heron as he left the park. While he was stopped at a red light and blocked by traffic, Woozy and Roderick jump at the main intersection armed with automatic weapons and open fire. Bullets struck Heron 13 times. He died at the scene. The bold action occurred in broad daylight in front of numerous witnesses, including a fire department truck who was 2 cars behind. Only Roderick was convicted of Heron's murder, but many say Woozy, George's girlfriend, was allegedly behind the fatal shots. Heron is survived by his children and family.
And I mean, this is clearly a hit. Whenever you get hit 13 times, they jump out on you and follow you a bit to a street light where you're cornered at, can't get away, or it's a red light, what have you. Cars all around. Try to drive off, you're gonna wreck or whatever, they still gonna get to you. And they jump out on you in broad daylight with whatever weapons they had, probably some choppers, and then chop you down. And 13 shots hit you. Who knows how many shots they let off because they were trying to make sure the job was done. These individuals were once allies. Heron, Poochie, George Williams, all of they started having internal conflicts in Death Row. And it all ended up leading to a lot of death and destruction.
To January 19th, 2014, Heron's son Christopher was on his way home from high school track practice when he was caught in the middle of a shootout between 2 Mexican gangs that were at war. A stray bullet struck Christopher in the head. When police arrived, they found Christopher lying in the grass in front of a residence. He was on life support for 3 days before they pulled the plug. He was 17 years old. Heron's legacy will be remembered as a true friend whose loyalty was never questioned.
Wow. His son ended up getting hit in the head by a straight bullet and lost his life as well at 17 years old. This is the area that you live in. This is the environment. You don't gang bang. You're 17 years old. You're walking home from school, walking to school, walking to the store, from the store, and get hit with a bullet, and you're gone too. This is why people say move out of the hood. It's unfortunate, man. It's crazy. This is how all of these stories end up ending. Which story has Hood War Story done? Have I done, or anyone else that ends in any sort of successfulness, any sort of prosperity with these individuals that were in the gang culture in the street, doing whatever it is that they were doing? How many of them end up riding off into the sunset? It all ends like this. Somebody jumping out on you in broad daylight and chopping you down. You bragging about you having 17 bodies, so you out here taking people's life. And then someone, of course, you live by the gun, you die by the gun, someone comes and takes your life. It's just a revolving door and a treadmill in the ghetto. It's just cyclical. You're just going in circles, doing the same thing and with the same end and the same result, which is never good. Let me know what you all think in the comments. Stay safe. Rest in peace to Heron. And stay free, people.